Hey, what's going on? Welcome along to episode 34 of the Strategy and Conversions podcast. I'm Jamie Michael Joseph, and as always, I'm joined by Mark Tanner.
Hello,
Now,
Mike.
these episodes, we're going to look at a certain topic. I'm going to have a discussion around them, and we're going to go through a few different stages on how it can help you, how you can put things into place in your business, and just give you a bit of a different kind of view on things, how we would go about, putting these kind of areas in place. So the first one we're going to talk about, Mark, is strategy.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a buzzword, right? That I think
It
is
is.
always kind of thrown around. No matter what it is, there's a strategy for it, But for me, I know we've had this discussion before. For me, it's one of those words that has been used so much that it's kind of lost its kind of importance. I guess it's the same as I was thinking about this the other day, where you get opportunity. I think going back about 20 years ago, opportunity was a word where, you'd put it in somewhere and it really was an opportunity.
Yeah.
And, just times have evolved, and, not saying that when people say that it's an opportunity, it isn't today, but we're sort of faced with so many opportunities.
Yeah.
It's not really an opportunity anymore.
Yeah, it becomes watered down. It needs to be another word, doesn't it? But I mean, the way I see strategy is that it's high level thinking. You have your strategy at the top. This is what you're intending to do. And then below that, you have your planning that fits in with your strategy. And then below your planning, you have the tactics you're going to use to put the plans in place to try and get the outcomes that are going to feed into your strategy. And then below the tactics is it kind of like the implementation of that little tactic. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? So everything has a purpose. So when it comes down, for example, when it comes down to copy is quite low down that pecking order, because it's a tactic which feeds into a plan, which then feeds into a strategy. But a lot of people get that wrong and just go off and I'm going to create a blog without any of that, any of that upper stuff being put in place. And that's where I think a lot of people, well, I think you both think the same, don't we? Where a lot of people go wrong is because they're starting right down at the bottom, as opposed to it's like project management, isn't it? Everything start with the end in mind. What is the strategy? What are we trying to do? Where are we trying to get to? That's the kind of the end, and then you filter down.
Exactly. I think like you said there, with certain tactics, you'd also get certain tools that you would use. So things like social media platforms and stuff like that. They're tools. You can change them around. You can use them in different ways. The tactics then are how you're using them. And then those tactics support your strategy. Which is basically driving you in the right direction. Towards what you're trying to achieve. And then you have your whole kind of strategic goal, which is your destination that you're trying to get towards anyway. And your strategy is then supporting that. And I think that's the kind of big area where it gets confused a lot, is people kind of think strategy and it can be taken straight down into that small micro level of, okay, what's your LinkedIn strategy? And it's just like, whoa, like let's just step back a minute now, because as much as LinkedIn is powerful and you can use it and all that kind of stuff, you can't control it.
No, it's a tool.
It's just a tool. It's just a tool as a stepping stone to help you and stuff like that. You can change it around and everything like that. But just by using LinkedIn or focusing on a strategy just for LinkedIn and not having that strategy for your business and your direction, you're just going to go around in a small circle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what's happened, is that people have started to, they think that the word strategy has more of a kind of emphasis than planning. So instead of talking about their LinkedIn marketing plan, they're talking about their strategy, because it's kind of like it's a corporate buzzword. But by, as you said, by people using that word, it's become a bit of it is just become a buzzword, and it's meaningless. This doesn't convey the true meaning of actual getting a really joined up strategy together, which will involve not just social media, but maybe offline stuff as well. Exactly. Everything's involved in it. So it's how you show up at networking, what you're trying to achieve. All that thing feeds into that overall strategy, doesn't it? And social media is just a small little piece of it. And then that splinters out into the different platforms, like you said, the different tools and the way you post, because posting on LinkedIn is probably different to posting on Instagram. And you have to, there's different things you have to bear in mind in the algorithm. Creating a blog, a post on your blog, for example, you are thinking about SEO as well to go in there. You don't need to think about SEO when you're on Facebook, for example. So it's too watered down. Too watered down.
I think that's it. I mean, we've had these kind of discussions on, even for myself, I think for the past kind of 5 years or so, I've been helping businesses with their marketing strategy. So I've always strategy has always kind of been my thing. It's always been, okay, look, how do we get to this kind of point, by doing this and achieving these kind of milestones. And even the conversations that we've had, it's like, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
We say marketing strategy because I think that's what people get. They kind of understand that, but it goes so much deeper. It goes into strategic planning and execution for business growth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's it. We were talking about that when we just yesterday, and that's exactly what it is. It's all about, ultimately, your marketing, everything that you do in your business is aimed at growing your business in some direction or other. Because if it's not aimed at growing your business, then you're almost wasting your time doing it.
I think that's the big thing, isn't it? It's that kind of aimlessly wandering around, hoping that something works, or being busy for the sake of being busy.
Yeah.
When there's no real sort of direction, and that whole kind of strategy side, that strategic plan, every business needs that in place. So it doesn't matter if they're starting up, if they've been around for a while and they're ready to take the next step, or maybe things are in decline, or maybe they're really starting to go to different kind of levels and stuff like that. They all need a strategic plan. And a lot of the times when we would do things and we would plan things out, and working with clients as well, is we always kind of say to them to look at the next 12 months.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be in 12 months time? Yeah. And then we kind of bring that back to where they are now. And we're looking at that gap, that bridge in between. We always look at milestones then, and especially on that kind of 90-day mark, where we would look, okay, look, let's look at that plan for the next 90 days.
Yes, that's right.
Because we want to achieve something.
Yeah. That's the other thing, isn't it? Strategy doesn't just mean it's a wonderful high-level plan, then you put it on a shelf and say, okay, I've done that, that's fine. It's a working thing. It's like any part of planning. It becomes, your strategy is the high-level thinking that gets you down and down and down to actually implementing stuff that all leads. But you've got to implement. If you don't implement that strategy, then you could be having a great session with somebody, and you could spend a whole day working on it and having this wonderful document at the end of it. But then that's, again, it's still meaningless until you put it into action.
I saw something the other week, and when I first seen this, it made me laugh, because I was just like, this is just some sort of clickbait kind of stuff, right? To get someone to start reading on. But actually it made some sense after I processed it. It said if your goal is to make £10,000 a month and you're only making £2,000 a month, for every month that you don't hit £10,000, you're losing money. And I was like, okay, I think, and from a strategic side as well, like thinking of it from that point of view, is that, okay, look, if you have a destination that you're looking to get towards, if you want to get to, say, your business growing to a certain level, or you want to pick up market share, or you want to replace maybe a salary income, you have to take steps, you have to implement it, you have to put things in place to make things happen. Whereas I think a lot of times people will take that end goal, or even that kind of year goal, this is where I want to be. But in the short term, they're just like aimlessly going, I'll put a post on social media today to see if anyone wants my help. Or even worse than that, they won't even say, does anyone want my help? They just say, I'm good at doing this because X, Y, Z.
Yeah. And the whole strategy comes back down to part of the strategy, or as you filter down, it's the plan, isn't it? Is when it comes to, for example, let's just talk about posts you put out. Let's talk about Facebook posts. You don't want to be selling on every Facebook post. So you want to be putting out posts that educate, and posts that build a relationship. And then you might have 1 in 3, 1 in 4 that sell something. But it's all part of a plan to actually get to this point, which is part of your strategy to keep moving on every month. And like you said, yeah, you're right. You're not, if your plan is to, if your strategy, if that plan is £10,000 a month and you're only making 2, then does that mean you're only settling for 2? Therefore, do you change your strategy? Or should you say, be dissatisfied, say, I'm only making 2. It's not good enough. Because, as you said, there's $8,000 there that you're not making each month. But how important is, so again, it comes back to the why, isn't it? Why is that figure of 10 grand important to you? Why is it that you want to get to it? And if that why isn't clear, or part of the strategy, if that why isn't really clear and compelling and emotional and making you want to go, then you will just settle for $2,000 a month.
I think that's it. And I guess that's a big part where when we talk about strategy, we are talking about business growth.
Yeah.
When we're looking at the strategy side, because, you know, the marketing is a core component, because for any kind of growth, you're going to need to make more money.
Yeah.
You know, how do you make more money while attracting the right kind of clients? You know, it's as simple as that. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's as simple as that kind of process there. And like with the whole kind of strategy side, that whole thing, like you said, okay, look, maybe you do have a strong will there to get to that kind of next level. And then there could be stuff holding you back. And I'll be honest, I think it's probably only been the past kind of year where I've seen how big of a piece mindset is within certain individuals.
Yeah.
Where you could be talking to someone and you know they're really good at what they do, and you know what they have to offer is really good, but themselves, they feel like they're not at that level.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that stops them from going forward and putting stuff out there and stuff like that. And sometimes, you know, strategy can replace that side of, okay, like I'm maybe I'm not comfortable and confident in what I'm trying to get across here, but if I've got a plan to follow, then I'm going to just follow through with this plan.
Yeah.
And then you get not so much that whole kind of fake it till you make it, because I don't believe in that, but more of that kind of believe it until you achieve it.
Yeah, definitely. I think you have to, once you have that. So, for example, going back to strategy, if you've got that 10K a month, that's your goal, and you've really got the reason why is a really compelling reason, whatever that reason why is, and that goal excites you, it motivates you. Yeah, okay. So then you work back from the strategy down into plans to put it into place, to the extent where you say, well, if I'm doing all this activity every day, there it should produce the results that I want. And so the next thing is, then it's that belief. Well, okay, you have to believe, if I follow this process, and I follow this process just every day, and I just keep doing this and go through the actions every day, you then don't get you don't get vested in the outcome. You're not interested in the outcome. Well, you are, but the outcome isn't important to you. The importance is doing this stuff every day, because you know that if you do this stuff every day, that result, that outcome, it'll materialize. And I think a lot of people think, and that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they start doing this thing. Yeah, I'm going to get onto this, and after about 3 or 4 days, they don't see many results, don't see things happening. They've tried, maybe they go on for a fortnight or something, and then they're getting a few results, but not what they wanted. So they think, I'm going to have to change this because it's not working. Yeah. Fatal.
That's the big thing, isn't it? And there is such a fine line there as well on, you know, if you continue, if you stop. I know we've mentioned this a few times in past kind of podcasts and stuff like that, but, you know, you have to follow through with something. You know, if you have a strategy, you know, from, you know, it's like driving your car. You know, if you plan the destination and say it's 200 miles away, well, look, you could be driving along, you don't think you're getting anywhere. You know, well, if you just pull over, you know, or you turn around and go back, you're never going to reach that destination, are you? But if you keep going, you know, you're going to reach it. I think that kind of strategy plan, you put that in place, it automatically instills that confidence and clarity.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That, yeah, agreed. And that it's if your strategy is really well thought through, I mean, really well thought through, and you've bounced it around for different people and ideas, that should give you the belief that it's going to happen. And then also, because you've got the belief that it's going to happen, and you know what you've got to do, that also will give you the confidence that, right, if I do this, I believe, the belief, I believe it will work. I believe it will come out. So you have that belief, and then and because you're believing in it, you're doing it with real enthusiasm, then the results will start to come, because it's just the way you're just the way you're thinking, the way you've planned it, and the way you've really spent the time to think, right, okay, I know that if I start working on this, then it'll happen. And this is why planning everything from strategy all the way down to actually the plans of what we're going to do is really important, because if you put it together really briefly and you've got a very flaky strategy and the plans are a little bit rubbish, and then you come to, right, well, I just carry on doing this, and it's not really well thought through, then yeah, it may not work, and that's the problem. Again, that's another challenge where people haven't spent the time really thinking about that strategy. Who was it who said, is it Emerson? I think it was Emerson. I think that I can't remember what the total quote is, but you were saying that 5% of people think, is it 10% of people think they think, and 85% of people would rather die than think. And strategy needs a lot of thought and a lot of processing.
And I think that that's a big thing as well. Like when you were talking there, what came to my mind is that you have to be in the strategy. I think a lot of people look at strategy when it goes wrong, is people look at the kind of end destination and they wishfully think of, okay, yeah, I just need to do this, or I just need to do that. That whole kind of spreadsheet millionaire, I need to sell 50 copies of this and I'm, making X amount of money. But there's no how, there's no why, there's no where or anything like that. They're always just, okay, end destination, and that's only kind of guessing, or, those kind of wishes. This is what I want to get, rather than actually looking at it in a strategic way and going, okay, we're here. In 3 years' time, we want to be here. So in a year's time, we need to get to this level. In 90 days' time, we need to get to this level. Okay, look, what are our biggest challenges here? How do we overcome them? What's needed? And that there is that whole kind of strategy planning that, we would do with clients, and that element there, like I said, I always go back to it being marketing strategy, because I think that a lot of the times you hear those quotes, especially in the business coaching world, where they say, oh, you need to work on your business rather than in your business. And it's all great advice and stuff like that. But it's never getting into the sort of the real kind of strategy, tactics and implementation, the tools and stuff like that to actually get it done. Whereas the marketing strategy will look into that, as well as, okay, look, we know the direction that we're going, we know the destination, we know the milestones, we know the challenges, and now we know how to overcome them. That clarity, confidence and courage, just by having that in place, put you levels above, those people that don't want to think.
Yeah, exactly. And, it is, putting together a strategy that is going to work does require, it's a lot of thought. And sometimes it's hard work. I know we've done it, so we spent days sitting down and you get halfway through and you just think, what are we doing? I don't quite, and it kind of like, it's really hard. You've got to take a break. There's a massive amount of brain power used. And then you've got to test with other people to say, am I on the right track here? Is this really going to work? And I think that, the other thing, talk about that thing you said there, coach, a lot of business coaches, you don't want to work in there. You've got to be working on the business. But often they don't tell you what it means about working on the business. Exactly what are you working on when you're working on the business? Because that, it's a great little saying, and people say, oh yeah, of course you've got to work on the business. So that today they say, I'm working on my ads. Well, that's still working in the business. The working on the business is going right back up to that strategy, measuring where you are and thinking, right, where are we? What are we doing wrong? Why are we not this far along? Like you said, why are we losing 6-8 grand a month? We're not hitting 10K a month. We're only hitting 2K. Why? And that's the real high level thinking. That's what I think working on your business really means.
It is exactly that, isn't it? Nothing's going to go plain sailing.
No.
There's going to be different areas where you need to react and you need to change things. But with the strategy in place, that end destination is programmed. It's going to get you there. And I like to think of it as Google Maps. Is that if you go into Google Maps and you put a kind of destination in, you look at the kind of directions and stuff like that, they give you the bird's eye view.
Yeah, exactly.
The overview, right? But then you can zoom in to get down to that road level and you can see the road ahead. Yeah. And that's what that strategy, having that right strategy and plan in place, allows you to do that. It allows you to look at the overview. Yeah. And it lets you get down into, okay, what's the next road that we need to take to get to it?
Yeah.
And I think we'll look to wrap this episode up here. We said we're going to do these kind of shorter episodes.
Yeah, we said we would. Yeah,
and do that. I think that this is a great place to kind of end on. You mentioned there about having someone else look at it and bounce it around and stuff like that. And look, we'll shamelessly do a plug here and just say, look, if you do want some help with the whole kind of putting a strategy in place, every business needs a strategy in place. If you don't have a plan for the next 90 days, then you definitely need to be checking out the information below and stuff like that and looking for some support. But this is the story that I want to end on. This is, I think, is great. I was listening to I think it was an audiobook or a podcast, and there's a big guy in the States who he was a Navy SEAL, and he basically does all that kind of leadership training and stuff like that now. And he said that he can always remember that there was this kind of master chief, I think that's what they call them, who are the ones that are the leaders of an elite kind of SEAL squad. And whenever they had a mission come up, and whoever the kind of team leader was, I guess, who would do the kind of planning, this master chief wouldn't be involved. Right. So as much as they have all this knowledge, all this experience and stuff like that, they wouldn't be involved. The team will plan it out. And then when they have that plan there, the master chief comes in and they talk him through the plan. And because he's not been involved in the planning process, he can see if there's any issues.
Yeah, exactly.
He can see what doesn't quite work. And sometimes you just need that. You need that person to bounce the ideas around, or just to say, look, this is what I'm thinking to doing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of doing, what do you think to it? And it's sometimes you can have such a reaction to something where you say, look, this isn't going to work, or this can work. And we mentioned it a few weeks back on the podcast, but we've done it with clients before. Where they've said, this is what we're doing, this is that, and we've just gone, it won't work. It won't work. It'll be fine. You can be really busy, but you're not going to make any money. And that's the goal that you're looking for here. So why do it? And that's the whole thing, is sometimes having that person on your side, the person who's not trying to sell you something, not trying to make you do something, but someone who's on your side to help you reach that goal.
Right. It's worth absolutely. I mean, well, it's invaluable. I was going to say it's worth its weight in gold, but it's invaluable. I think that kind of thing. Absolutely. You can't put a value on it. When someone can come in who is experienced, and yes, blown our own trumpet, we've been there, we've worked with a lot of people, but someone who can come in like your master chief and they present your plans, and you say, well, I'm doing that, I'm thinking of doing this, and you can straight away see, well, you got an issue there. That needs to be somehow, there needs to be a bridge put in there. What are you going to do about it?
And it's on that as well. Like, speaking to someone the other week, and they've got this master plan, this overall plan where they want to be in 5+ years time, and it's awesome, and they will get there and they will make mega millions, right? But the next kind of 3 months, they have to make cash flow, and it's like, if they don't make this cash flow, if they don't get those kind of boxes ticked, they're not going to achieve the master plan.
Right.
And it's just that those kind of things, is that sometimes people can get so caught up in, like, the spreadsheet millionaires and all that kind of stuff. That they go, okay, look, where's the next customer coming from? Where's the next 5 grand, 10 grand coming from? Or how do we move into this kind of area, without spending too much money? It's all these kind of things that you would look at. It's all those kind of things that you would plan for the destination. And how people want to get there. Some want to go fast, some want to go slow, some want extreme comfort, some are happy to, just coast along.
But it does. It's all it's different for every business in every way. So I mean, that's right. This is again, it's the same thing. A lot of people say, well, you can't take a strategy off the shelf, because you have to think about, because it's all dependent on what that person wants in their business, or what the board of directors want in their business, whatever. It's down to that. It's down to where they want their business to be. So what do they want the business to give them? The life, because we hark on about this so many times. The first thing is, how do you want your life to be? How do you want do you want to be slaving away in 2 or 3 years' time, being in the same position? You don't. So how do you want your life to be? How is the business going to support that? What have you got to do what has the business got to do for you to support that? And then breaking it down. So the strategy is always, to my mind, starts off with, like we do, life first. Life. What do you want? And then the business, is the business going to work? Some people will still say, well, I'm still going to do part-time. I'm in a job that I really, really love. and it's giving me a good income, and this is going to be a part-time that's going to add to the strategy of me getting to my life. But ultimately, business is just a vehicle, isn't it? Just like a job is just a vehicle. So you have to think about all those things tying into your strategy.
I think that's it. I think to round things off, then I think the big kind of takeaway there is, but from what I've took of it anyway, is that strategy is tailored to an individual.
Yeah,
it's not off the shelf or anything like that. It's something that is bespoke to you, that you are involved in creating.
Yeah,
and also, look, you have to have something in place. If you don't, you're not moving towards anywhere. And as you've said before in different podcasts and stuff like that, if you're not moving forward, are you moving backwards?
Yeah,
most probably yes.
Yeah, there's no such thing as standing still in business, unfortunately. In fact, probably in life, but certainly in business there isn't. If you think, right, I'm just going to stay here a minute, that means you're going down.
Dangerous, right? So always be moving forward.
Yeah.
We'll wrap things up there. Mark, it's always been a pleasure.
Indeed. Yeah. Be good to be here.
That's it. See you next time.
Yeah. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
Bye.